Okay, so I got a great question this morning from a client that was, what is the best way to lift when you're bulking versus cutting, right? And so let's just cover some terms here real quick. When we're talking about bulking, we're talking about being in a caloric surplus and we're trying to put muscle on the body, right? When we're in a cut, which most of my clients usually are, we are trying to remove excess or unwanted body fat, right? Here is the answer that's probably going to irritate you, but it's a lot of the time in fitness, is it depends. What is going to dictate whether you are putting on weight or taking off weight is your nutrition, right? You're either going to be in a caloric surplus or you're going to be in a caloric deficit. Now, the other thing is this. You should always be working the body through a variety of rep ranges, right? Because what happens over time is we become adapted to a certain rep range. And that means that the training effect that we were getting, that effect we wanted, such as, let's use running as an example. If you go and run, right, and the first day you run a mile, and that mile was tough, we'll notice over time that as we begin to run that mile, day after day or every other day, however you do it, it's going to become easier, right? That is your body physically adapting to the stress that you're putting under it, which was the mile. So we want to vary that stress. If we want to get better at running the mile, eventually, like if we keep running at the same pace, we're going to do great at that pace. We might not necessarily improve that much unless we begin to incorporate something like, let's run it faster, right? Or different types of things we can do within that mile to change the stimulus that we're giving the body, right? And all that means is the way that we train. So let's hop back to what's the most optimal way or most optimal rep range, right, when we're bulking versus cutting. So a lot of that is I am honestly, I'm going to tell you this. If I'm in a bulk, I am still going to go through a strength phase. I'm going to go through a hypertrophy phase, right? And then I'm going to also go through like a more of a higher rep range, strength endurance type phase, but I'm still considering the higher end of that hypertrophy range. All of those rep ranges are effective for building muscle when we're in a bulk and maintaining muscle when we're in a cut, right? So what most people find is it's a little bit, because here's the thing, it's what you have to look at is the psychological effect of a cut, right? Let's hop back to the bulk real quick. During a bulk, you've got like you're eating above maintenance calories. You're probably feeling good. You're probably recovering quicker, especially if your sleep is on par, your stress level is down. That is definitely the time to go in the gym and go and hit the heavy weights, work in those rep ranges of 1 to 4, right? Pack on the volume when you get into hypertrophy, right? Work on getting that weight, like making the weight a little bit heavier each session that you lift. Like each week you could, just a general, not telling you to do this, add 5 pounds to each lift, right? Because even though you can't spot reduce fat, you can spot enhance muscle. So that may look like when I'm in that bulk, I want to go through and I want to hit my compound lifts because they're going to give me that greatest muscle growing stimulus through my body. It's going to help me put the muscle on. And then I'm going to work on the areas that I want to target. For most guys, it's like, let me hit the biceps, right? I want to grow the biceps. That's a great thing to do during a bulk, is you can get more volume at heavier weight. When you go into a cut, on the other hand, you have to accept that you're going to feel weaker, especially the deeper off that you get into that cut, right? It's probably not optimal for you to start working with those keep working with those heavier weights. But there are other things we can do. We can start working in that 8 to 12 range, maybe the weight's lighter, but now we're taking decreased rest periods, which is a form of progression. Now we're focusing more on what your bodybuilders would call the pump, which I'm using a lighter weight, but I'm focused on getting that muscle really activated. I'm slowing down another thing called tempo, right? So I can play with those different forms of progression rather than focusing on intensity where I'm driving the weight up. Now maybe I'm driving my volume up. I'm going from 8 to 10 to 12 over the course of the block. Or I'm slowing my tempo down. I don't know if you've ever done a slow 4-second up or concentric, and then a 4-second slow eccentric movement or lowering. But man, that is that can be just as taxing as going and getting that heavy back squat in. So I really hope this helped. It was such a great question that I couldn't not give an answer to that. And if you have any follow-up questions, comment under this and let me know. I hope you guys have a great day.